no further ado, man. Let's get the main man on the show. We were waiting for Coach Martin. He's going to join us here. Everybody, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, become a member. Come on over here. We got a lot to discuss here. But the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Martin. He's a Miami native, Florida native, and former K-State head coach, former South Carolina head coach. Took South Carolina to the Final Four in 2016. What's up, Coach? How you doing, man? I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, JB, just for you, man, I'm going to flip my hat on backwards.
My man, they got me recruiting today, man. I'm sitting in my car outside this high school.
Hey, I figured that, man. I was like, shit, are you on the East Coast right now? Are you
Yeah,
out?
I'm out here. I'm
out there?
I'm
Okay.
actually I'm in Boston.
Oh, okay. Got it. Man, I was supposed to be in Boston for the Live Golf Tournament. My buddy Pat Perez is out there, man. So I appreciate you coming on, man. Let me ask you this, man. What got everybody's in the chat here from Kansas? They remember your K-State day, so they're all jumping in here today. My boss, so you know, my boss on the show on Netflix, my boss is a K-State Hall of Famer, Tammy Romstead, women's basketball, won an Olympic gold medal. She's hangs in the banners there, all in the rafters. Yeah. So she is a huge fan of you. She is a Hall of Famer at K-State, and she was just she was ecstatic that you were going to come on today. You went back to the booth. You went into the booth in the media world. What got you back onto the hardwood?
Oh man, that TV stuff's fun and it's awesome, and I enjoy it because JB, I'm kind of like you. I kind of say the truth. I don't kind of say what sounds popular, and I like speaking the truth, and I enjoy it. But I still got some stuff left in the tank, man, and I still want to chase these young dudes around, man, and try and get them to do right and get them to stay in the right place and not get wrapped up in the nonsense that I don't want to say social media, but today's society's kind of thrown in their face. You know, it's so I'm as long as I feel young guys can still embrace what I say, and I feel like I'm helping them move forward, and I still got the energy. I'm healthy again. COVID kicked the what out of me, man, and so it's I'm hey, I kind of look like I got run over by a freight train. Yeah, but I feel good inside again, man, which was the thing.
That's all that matters.
COVID kind of COVID tried to break my spirit, and it, maybe it did, but you know what? I think I won that battle. So it's we still got more to give.
Man, Coach, bald head is sexy. The women tell me every day. Hey,
my wife tells me she likes it. I say, yeah, but when I had that gelled back curly hair, you told me you like that one too. So I'm like,
Hey, man, I've always followed you from afar and been a fan, and I always watch you. And I'm just like, man, I wish there was more guys like you and Huggins and Bob Knight and all these guys, man. I just wish there was more of us out there. It's so protected by social media. Everyone has a phone. We're coaching on eggshells because we don't want to be telling somebody the truth like we like to do, and then have somebody record it, and if somebody thinks it's something that is cancelable. All right. Let me ask you this: what you're out there recruiting again? It's got to be a great one, man. That's probably the most single most thing I miss of this thing is recruiting the kids, getting into the home, the school, what have you. Is that a good feeling? Does it feel good, rejuvenating you right now to get back out there on the road? You hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I believe I kind of skipped on me there. I think said something about recruiting and if it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I was saying that's probably the single most thing that I miss is being on the road, recruiting a kid in a home.
I lose you there, JB.
No, I got you. You hear me? You got me? You got me?
Yeah, I still love the recruiting part, man. It's building the relationship still, to me, is the fun part, because that relationship is what allows you. Everyone talks about the transfer times and all that stuff, and it is what it is. But the whatchamacallit, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
The relationship you build with these guys, which is based on truth. It's based on real. It's not based on phoniness of your talent or what how many points per game you're going to average and all that crap that's all phony baloney. It's what happens when the lights are off, when people aren't watching, that daily interaction that you're in it with them and their journey. That I still live for that, man. And that's what matters to me. The whole world is trying to get it. JB, I think you would appreciate this because I know what you do. And I should say I know. I've got a pretty good feel for what you do. And it's whatchamacallit. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I'm trying to say it in the PG fashion, not for you, for me.
It's city.
Not for you, for me.
I know.
I'm trying to be family friendly to protect myself right now. We live in an era where everyone wants to make me the bad guy because I'm old fashioned, and I tell people all the time, I finished my 38th year on a sideline last year. I've never looked down the bench and seen open seats. Never. So obviously there's still people out there that feel that I can help them. And I tend to tell those people, it's like, well, you're too hard on them. I said, well, I might be hard on them, but they're my guys and they don't run away from me. And they say, well, aren't you scared of it? I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, I recruited them. I built a relationship with them and their parents. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about them running away. And I said, number two, you ever thought that maybe your way is not a good flavor for me? And just because, it's different strokes for different folks, man. And I get it. I'm not the coach for everybody, but you know what? Everybody ain't the people for me either. And it's my job to recruit and build relationships with the guys that I think I can help. And that's the only thing that matters.
Coach, they hate me or they love me, right? It is what it is. We're the same way. We're the same way, Coach. But I've never seen a player talk bad about you ever. And I have never seen a player talk bad about me. I got 28 in the NFL. I just had my 10th first rounder. 260 I've sent Division I.
Oh.
But I'm the asshole. And that's the problem. That's what the naysayers think when you see this show that blew up. And it's like, well, you saw me for 16 hours out of 4,000 hours filmed.
There you go.
You don't see half of Coach Martin's life. You see the game. You don't see the building of relationships, the parenting that's happening. I try to tell people, Coach Martin, all the time, we are parents. We are babysitters to these parents because we're around these kids 75% of their life for 4 years. They're not at home. They're with us more than they are with their mothers, with their fathers, and we're doing them a service. We're helping them we're raising their kids right before they're very young, especially inner city youth that we coach. When the single mom has these kids and have 3 jobs and 4 kids, and we're raising their kids for them. So that's why we're so passionate about telling them the truth. And that's why we're like telling mom, hey, mom, you shut the hell up. We got this one. Trust us. And that's why I always recruited the parent. I'm sure just like you do over the kid. I recruit the parent first because if I got the parent locked in, the kid ain't going nowhere. And I've yet to lose a kid to a portal.
There you go.
Yeah, you know how it goes. And so my question to you is, Coach, the state of college athletics, if you had one word to sum it up, what is the word? The state of college athletics.
Change.
Change.
Yeah, it's it's a complete opposite of what you and I grew up knowing it. And it's in a moment of it's changing right now. And 5 years from now, I don't know where it's going to be. I'm not here to judge it. If it's headed in a good direction, bad direction, it is what it is, man. It's like everything else. Things change, and we have to stay true to who we are. I tell people all the time, like, I'm not avoiding your question, but you said something that needs to be put in perspective. Give those numbers again. How many first round picks?
10.
Okay,
10.
now the second one, which is even more powerful. How many Division One?
260 I've sent Division One. Out of those 260, never has one kid been arrested or gone to jail or get kicked out of the 4-year.
Well, and here's where I'm going with it. This is why I wanted you to repeat it. The guys that you helped, they weren't the calculus students, man. Like I when I taught mathematics in high school, in the same inner city high school I grew up in, I said, I don't want the calculus students. Give me the ones like me that nobody else wanted to teach. Those are the ones I want to teach. And so you have saved the lives of every one of those kids, because the society would probably have pushed them and cast them away. And you've opened up a door. And that's the realness of, I know what you did and what I try to do. And college athletics is now, going back to your question, it's in flux right now because of the transfer portal, because of the NIL. Whether it's a talented kid or an average kid, the parents are trying to find a shortcut in life through their kids' athleticism, and none of that's real, man. It's all phony. And at the end of the day, if the best story, I tell these kids all the time when I recruit them, if the best story you can tell anybody is, I was a 5-star 18-year-old, man, that's a sad story to tell. Are you a 5-star grown man? That's what I want to know. And if you're not, let's work and get there one day. That's like let's go after it. Let's take advantage of these opportunities that are in front of us, and let's try and become a 5-star grown man. But when you're a grown man, you're still talking about you have 5 stars when you're 18 years old. Or as a parent, for me to be running around bragging that my son's a 5-star 17, man, that's irrelevant, man. Let's be honest. I mean, like, what are we doing here? Life's too long to be worried about how many stars we got when we're 17 years old.
And as well as I know, Coach, stars get coaches fired. Stars get coaches fired every year. And you know how that goes, man. And the truth of the matter, Coach, the kid that's saying he was a 5-star at 18 is the fucking manager at McDonald's. That's the sad part about it. That's what me and you don't want. We're telling them, don't go get your degree. Don't be at damn McDonald's when you're 35 years old. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want you to get into the portal and NIL deal, because I know it's so finicky and you're coaching right now. So I know the business. I would never put you in that predicament. But the NIL and the portal deal, my take is the NIL is what I think I played with Ed O'Bannon. We have some common mutual friends, obviously. People out there that don't know, I was a high school basketball player. I sat at the very far end of the bench because I was the slow white guy who played football, who just came in to hack the fast athletic guy. All right. And I was the asshole on the team that got the guys going. And we had Ed O'Bannon, Charles O'Bannon, Avondre Jones. We had these big time NBA guys. And we went out to New Jersey to play in a tournament. And Coach Martin was an assistant coach on the team in Miami that we played. And we lost, I think, 3 times in 4 years in my high school career. We won every state title, every state championship. Coach Martin's Miami Senior High. That's it.
Man,
They
you
were
got me feeling old, man. Why are you talking about 1990 like that, man? You got me. I'm getting old.
Hey, you guys beat us, man. We were loaded. You guys beat us. We were sophomores. Ed was a senior. You guys beat us. And that was a story. That was a story I want everybody to hear. So Coach Martin knew my head coach in high school, and then he recruited everybody out all over the country, obviously. But it was a small world, man, a small world. So what do we do? I think the portal's the issue, not the NIL. But is there a way to fix this thing, or are we just NFL free agency without a return at the college level now?
Yeah, it's NIL. NIL should have been. We should have figured out a way to bring NIL into what we're doing a long time ago, and done it in a little bit more structure than the way it was just kind of thrown at us here. This, like, I've been an advocate for NIL for a long time.
Yeah.
And but it is what it is. It's the change we're dealing with. I totally agree with you. The NIL is not going to be the problem. The only problem with NIL is for us, the head coach. Why? Not because the kids are making money. That's irrelevant. That's the way it should have been. It's because I'm being asked to manage a dynamic and I have no control over the dynamic. And that's the only thing. Like, I'm going to give you an example, JB. So you've been on my team and you've been taking charges, diving on loose balls, like making sure that everyone on the team does what Frank wants them to do. And we win and we build a winning culture. And now here comes this new, because we've won, now we can recruit a different kid. And now this kid comes in and he's a talented guy. He means no harm, but he comes in the locker room every day talking about how much NIL he's gotten walking on the door. You're going to sit there and you're going to say, man, I've been busting my ass for Frank, man. How's this guy getting an NIL deal and I got nothing? And that I got nothing to do with that. And I'm not speaking for everyone in the business. I'm speaking about me. I'm not getting in the middle of that deal because I can get fired for one reason and one reason only. And that's if obviously I get fired for losing. I just, or you can get fired for winning like I did at South Carolina. I mean, hell, you never know what you get fired for anymore.
You restored that program.
As a head coach, you get in the middle of cutting an NIL deal and you're caught, you're getting fired. So it's one of those deals, man, where the transfer portal to me is the one that doesn't allow us to teach, because we've created a society where everybody runs away from problems and runs away from adversity. And at the end of the day, man, the only way to grow is going through adversity, not running away from it. And there's nothing better than, when you're young, you don't know how to handle adversity. And having adults that don't take adversity out of the way, they don't move you to a different path. They just don't let you fall down while you're dealing with adversity. Those are the people that now, as a grown man, when I go back and see them, I hug. Like, the teachers that made my life easy, that just kind of pushed me through, I've never said anything to them teachers. The ones that back then made things really hard for me, but wouldn't turn their backs on me, every time I get a chance, I go give them a hug. Because without them, I would have been a miserable failure. And so that's where the transfer portal makes things difficult, because I was a transfer. I'm not against people transferring. But now they get to transfer with no repercussions, and they don't even have to tell me. I'm the person that recruits them. They don't have to tell me. They can just not say a word and send an email to compliance and enroll at a new school and have no conversations with anybody. I don't think that's the right way of educating young people, because at the end of the day, if change is needed, hey, divorce is legal in this country. How the hell can transferring not be legal?
Yes.
But when you get divorced, you still have to sit in a room and look at people eye to eye and create the conversation why you need to divorce. And I think that's the part that we're not teaching young people. So imagine these kids that we're allowing to transfer around. We're trying to educate them. If I wanted to coach professionally, I would have coached professionally. I still want to be a teacher. I still want to try and mentor. That's important to me. And so now I'm recruiting 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They're going to run away from difficulty and not communicate who they're running away from. What do you think's going to happen when they're married or they're a dad? What do you think they're going to do the first time that their son or daughter does something that pisses them off? They're going to like run away from them, not understand how to hold their own children accountable. I tell young people all the time, hey man, it's easy as heck to get married. All you got to do is keep asking. Someone's going to say yes. It is hard as hell to stay married.
Yes.
And the reason is you don't run away from the difficult days. You got to sit down, have hard conversations, and be humble enough to listen, but strong enough to express yourself. And we got to teach that to young people. And right now, the transfer portal is it's eliminating that educational part from the experience. I didn't mean to ramble, brother, but you kind of struck a nerve with me there.
No, that's great. I love it. That's the same way we think the exact same way. I already knew that going into this deal. I talked to a lot of buddies coaching D1 football right now, big time programs. And what you mentioned was the same thing. This is my take. I want to ask you, are you getting side-eyed by the guy towards the 8th or 9th guy on the bench? In football, it's the backup left tackle, the backup quarterback. In basketball, it's probably number 9, 10, 11. Are you getting side-eyed when you're speaking to the team about doing certain things because of the NIL, because of the portal being so accessible now, like you just said? Are you getting side-eyed and they're not looking at the whole intimate locker room that we once had, which we once shared? Are you getting side-eyed because they can go chase greener pastures and say, I'm out of here because they're not getting an NIL deal, or they're just not playing a lot and they want to chase greener pastures? Is this a harder time to be in the locker room with a bunch of youngsters who are chasing something that may not be there?
I don't know if side-eyed is the way I view it. I'm a big believer in the following. Times change, values, character does not. You either stand up for the right things or you don't. You either fight for the right things or you don't. Now, the way I learned, the way I was taught, these kids don't care. Times are different. They learn differently. But the values so I can't just say, well, I learned like this, you got to learn like that. Man, that's irrelevant to them. But the values, the lessons that life has taught me, I still have a responsibility to figure out how they learn. And if I can kind of make them feel it, then I earn their trust. And then when I earn their trust, at least I communicate with them. And I tell young people all the time, when I grew up, you respected the name at the front door. Right. You didn't question the guy that had the title at the front door. Now I got to work my ass off every day to earn their trust. I can't, just because my name says head coach next to it, they're not going to come in there and say, I got to listen to this guy. I got to earn their trust every single day. And it's every single guy. And I got to do it. And that's part of the deal. And this is the place I've had to come to myself personally. I still work real hard at relationship building. I work real hard at trying to elevate their lives, trying to empower them as people, not put them in a cage and make them basketball players. And
we lost him. Hopefully be right back with us. Yeah, Frank's just talking real shit, Jeremiah. Everybody on TikTok.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah. What I was saying is, when that moment comes where they come in and say, hey man, I think I need to go, that used to bother me. That doesn't bother me anymore. I understand that young man is, I've struggled connecting with him. So I got to be at peace that he's trying to find something else. And the biggest phallus that we never tell young people anymore, I still tell them every day, is the easiest thing to be in life is replaced. There's a hell of a lot more of us than there are opportunities. And if we don't do our part, we get replaced in a heartbeat. Whether we're 17 years old, whether we're 5 stars, whether we got gelled back, black jet, curly hair, or we got a bald head. It doesn't matter whether you're the head coach, the assistant coach, or the manager on the team. When we don't do our jobs and we don't connect with the people that we're working with and sacrifice for them, we get replaced. And so that's the biggest adjustment I've had to make.
Now, I do have to interject on this because I grew up in a very dominant college basketball home. My dad played college basketball. I grew up watching you coach at K-State. I'm from Kansas. I'm a KU fan, but with college basketball, that's how I grew up. Now, there's nobody that can replace you as far as with coaching, because I grew up having you as one of my top 5 all-time greatest college basketball coaches because of your passion, because you could see it while you were coaching during a game. I mean, I'm not going to lie, when you went to South Carolina, and I'm Tennessee homer also, I hated when we played you because I'm like, oh, he's one of my favorite coaches and I want them to lose and I want us to win. But here we are with Frank Martin. And I mean, you are irreplaceable. And the things that you just said are so valuable to all of these young men. I'm a mom. I have 2 young boys. So if they could have somebody like that coach them into these values in life to apply them and not give up on them and, enrich their futures, that's amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you just said, and I won't hold the fact that you're a Jayhawk against you. By the way, I won't do that. It's no, it's one of the great. By the way, what the whole deal at Kansas, what they do there, that basketball experience, it's an unbelievable environment. It's the only building in America where you cannot call a timeout if you're the opposing coach, because it's a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. It's but your words, I get embarrassed listening to your words. I'm not real good with those kind of compliments, but at the same time, the things that you express is what drives me every day. It's I don't do my job to appease people.
Right.
That I don't do my job to appease people I don't know. I do my job to help the people that believe in me, whether it's those young people that play for me, whether it's my boss who gives me an opportunity, whether it's my family who deals with the life of a coach, which is not an easy one. My job is to empower all of them, to try and lift their lives up. And one of the hardest things I've ever been through personally is when I got fired at South Carolina. People think because you make a lot of money, it cures your spirit and it protects who you are. When you get fired, there's a whole lot of people's lives that are getting ready to change.
Yes.
And it's people that I'm responsible for. I get out of bed every day and I'm responsible for everyone on my staff, every player on my team. I have to do my job as the leader in that office. I have a burden and a responsibility that I embrace, that I have to do everything I can and make every decision the right way, because any mistake I make is going to hurt someone's life. Because we live in a world that we're judged by winning and losing games. Let's be honest. Like, we're graduating players in college basketball higher than any sport in the country, at a higher rate than the average student on a college campus. No one ever talks about that. They talk about the fact that we're taking advantage of people to make more money as coaches. It's we live in a world that we I don't know we're not going to get credit for doing the right things. We're going to get credit for just winning games.
Yes.
And it's you fight that as a coach, because you're trying. I'll say this: eventually, hey JB, you'll like this one, brother. As a head coach, your players are pissed at you. Your family's pissed at you. Their parents are pissed at you. Your boss is pissed at you. Your alums are pissed at you. Your assistants everyone's pissed at you. When I was a bartender, everybody loved me. Nobody was ever mad at me. I mean, but but as coaches, we live in a world where we know we choose this environment. It goes back to The Godfather, when the old man tells Al Pacino, "This is the life we've chosen." It's we chose a life, so we can't run away from the difficulties of the profession. But we no one really cares that we're uplifting the lives of most. They only care about how many wins we've got. And as a coach, if you want to keep your job,
Right.
you want to win games, because life's more complicated making the money I make now, but I can resolve some problems with this salary rather than the $32,000 I made as a school teacher. And I tell our players all the time, my highest coaching salary in high school was $1,760. That's my highest coaching salary in high school. But I can't change who I am to my core, because at the end of the day, I got to put my head on a pillow as a man and sleep. And if all I worry about is wins and losses, then it goes against everything that my family raised me to be. And if I'm going to sleep at night, I got to be at peace that I'm representing my family's name and I'm doing my job right by the people around me.
Coach, I'm going to tell you, this is a spitting image of shit that I say every day. I don't go to sleep because we won a JUCO natty or I got these rings or coach of the year. I go to sleep at night knowing those kids went D1, graduated, got a 4-year degree, and aren't in jail or dead. That's what we and the administrators, the media, none of them understand it, because they don't get it, Coach. They don't understand. Me and you and your staff, my staff, whatever, are 24. We're open 24/7, 365. And these counselors, these administrators, these naysayers, they only answer the phone from 8 to 5. If that. And we're the ones taking the call from the girl that got pregnant, from the guy that got into DUI. We got the kid that robbed McDonald's. We're dealing with everything, and we're never closed. And these people don't understand that, but yet we do make the money, or coaches at your level do, but also it's a results-oriented business and profession, and you win or lose. The last time I checked, we checked the scoreboard, and the last time I checked, it's about what have you done for me lately, and nobody cares about nothing else. Oh, yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing. You said something some years ago that stuck out to me when I was coaching. And you said that the players and the kids have not changed. And I am 1,000% believer in the same thing. I've been thrown under the bus by kids because I knew going in, I never trust a kid. That's just what it is. I never trust you. But I still am working for you and helping you move on. That's just the profession. We're sacrificial lambs in that regard. But I want to say, you said the kids have not changed. The parents have. And I agree 1,000% of that. I completely been saying that forever. We either coach it or allow it, as you know. You finish through the line, coach, or you start before the line. And if you don't do it and we allow it, we just screwed you for life. And we either bring you back and start you over and hear you suck your teeth, and then we correct you sucking your teeth and tell you quit sucking your teeth. Or we allow you to suck your teeth and go lazier on the next rep. And parents are failing these kids at an all-time high, and coaches at the youth and the high school level are failing at an all-time high because, in my opinion, the transfer portal is making coaches bow down and kiss these kids' butts and say, listen, don't leave, don't transfer. And then at the end of the day, you allow these kids not to go to class on time, miss practice, and still start the kid, and you just lost integrity. You lost everything you started in the locker room, and that is what's happening at the home front. That's what's happening at the coaching level, and then you get a kid and have to kind of rebuild him and try to get through to him, and then he's like, no, I've been having it this way. I'm transferring now because Coach Martin yelled at me. Do you find it harder than ever to try to build a relationship that we once thought was pretty self-explanatory, and real recognizes real and genuine understands we understand who's genuine or not? Because I'm finding out now, Coach, we can tell them and be the same person, but they're still transferring because they're so soft. Is that something that's just harder than ever to coach?
It's the end of the day, JB. We need allies, and when the other adults in their lives are telling the kid that we're screwing them, it's complicated. It's always the hardest thing to do. And you used the word trust earlier. The hardest thing to do is earn somebody's trust. Man, that thing's hard. Mm-hmm. And all you got to do is like I, as a kid, man, they used to tell me the sky's green. I had no way of finding out that it wasn't green. Even if it looked blue to me, I had no way of finding it. Now, all I got to do is say one thing. And those kids go to the internet to double check everything I say. And all it takes is for me to say one thing that's not perfectly clear. And now it creates doubt in their minds. And then every adult around them, if I try to hold the kid accountable, is telling him I'm screwing him out of his opportunity to make money. And what I'm trying to do is make them understand how hard it is to become a man. And eventually, and I tell these kids when they show up as freshmen, eventually, I don't have to go through this. They do. They're going to have to walk into a locker room at the age of 22 and try and take a grown man's job away from them. That's not my journey. I'm not going to be in that moment. And if you don't have strength, character, if you don't bring something to the table, because the other grown men in that pro locker room, wherever it's at, they don't care you were a high school All-American. They don't care that you won championships or had stars. They want to know, what are you going to do to help this team win? Because if we win, we all get paid more money. They want to know, what are you going to do? And then they're going to challenge you to see if you're about the right things and if your character and your manhood is the right way to be able to come in this locker room and be a part of what we're trying to do. And if you get past all those obstacles, then there's that guy that's 34 years old that he needs that job to pay his bills. He ain't giving you his job, man. He gonna outplay you, and if he can't outplay you, gonna try and take you out to make sure you don't take his job. And that's not an easy moment to be in. And so it's when the adults around them are telling them that we're screwing them, and what we're trying to do is prepare them for that moment that's coming. It's complicated, and as all of us on this call know, it's everybody gets a job. The secret is not getting a job. The secret is being able to keep your job, and to keep your job, we better be prepared. Coach Huggins, he's got this saying. He says it all the time. He always looks at me and goes, "Hey, Frank, I answer the bell. If you want to keep your job, man, you better answer the bell. I don't care what you do. You better answer the bell. And if you're going to walk around with hurt feelings all the time, you're not going to answer the bell." And so I don't know. I don't know if I answered your statement or but it's we need allies, man. And right now, as adults, we all fight each other because we're in a. It used to be, we used to be into finding solutions. Now, as adults, we all run around trying to figure out who to blame. And when you're 17 years old and no one's helping you figure out solutions, you're just trying to figure out who to blame. You end up living a lonely, difficult life. And that's kind of the environment that we've created in this generation is, let's not fight to find solutions. Let's figure out who we can blame for failure. And I don't know. It's complicated right now. We gotta keep fighting the fight, man. I'm a true believer. I tell my players all the time, I don't care how hard things get. Don't let go of that rope, man. We need each other to make it to the finish line. And as adults that are going through a moment in our society right now, involved all this coaching, teaching, all this stuff, those of us that believe in the values that we believe in, we got to hold on to that rope. And we can't let go, because if we let go, then we can't sit around and complain. We're going to join the party. And so I'm gonna hang on to this thing as hard and for as long as I can.
No doubt. Only leaders create more leaders, not more followers, man. And that's what you've done forever. So you're forever held in high regard with me. Plus we know a lot of the same people, so I can't wait to hang out. I got a kid that's a part of the show. He was at one of your camps. You recruited him years ago, and he's in South Florida. He wanted to ask you a question. He was at one of your camps years ago, and he never forgets that you were yelling at a camp of recruits, basically. And I told him, I said, you know what? This is what I do. Because if you yell at a kid before he plays for you, at least when you get him, he knows what he's getting into. And that is what is the real part of this thing. So Wido, come on in. I want you to, I know Coach may not remember you, but you were at a camp. What's your question?
First of all, JB, thank you. First and foremost, Coach Martin, I appreciate any time I can be in your presence, hear all the gems and knowledge that you get. Thank you so much for being you and what you've done. Let's get one thing about my dog, JB. The story's a little off. You definitely never recruited me. I was at a camp one time. Definitely heard you, Coach. But regardless, thank you so much. I do have a question. When you're coaching a player that you see the greatness in him before he sees it in himself, what do you do to get the self-confidence out of a kid that's all they need?
It's hard for me. Players have to believe in themselves first. And I can't worry. I tell players all the time, if I had a magic wand to make them pros, every one of my guys would be a pro. There is no magic wand. There's got to be they got to have belief that they can do things. And then my job is to build them up. And I build them up by challenging them, by surrounding them by the right people, and then never giving up. Like the easy thing to do is throw a player out there, and when he fails, let's just cut through the BS here. All right. I yell, stomp my foot and all that stuff, but I build people up, man. Some of the worst things I've ever heard coaches say, they say it in a voice that's about that big. Nobody else but that individual hears. And my whole thing is I wouldn't have lasted in this business for 38 years if I'm into cutting people down. Last thing I checked, yelling is not cutting people down. So my whole thing is I got to show those players that I got their backs. So when you talk about a player like that, that has some kind of self-doubt, I've got to keep throwing them into the fire and making sure that they know that I believe in them, hoping that eventually they start believing in themselves. And once they get a little confidence, they start growing. I heard this guy. I was driving into work. I was struggling with my team. I don't know, 3-4 years ago. I was still in South Carolina. I was driving into work, and I have no idea. This guy came on the radio. Things happen to me to open up my eyes that are like incredible sometimes. And I'm this guy, I don't even know who he was. He was just talking, and it was on a Sunday morning. We had just lost a game on Saturday, and I couldn't figure out a way to help this guy. And it was like a local sports talk radio station that instead of the sports talk, it was like some guy that on Sunday mornings talks about flowers and trees and all that. So I was just driving. I wasn't even listening, but this guy's voice caught my ear. How about this one? The guy said, you can't force a flower to bloom faster or bigger than it was destined to be. All you can do is keep watering that flower and allow it to grow at its pace and to the size that it was destined to be. I had nothing to do with players. And I listened to that. I was like, holy cow. So I got to practice, and I grabbed this one guy that was really, really talented kid that was just struggling. And I told him, I said, hey, man, it's going to be all right. You know why? Because I'm not quitting on you. I'm going to keep feeding you information, and I'm going to keep throwing you out to the fire. And I refuse to allow you to fail. I'm going to pick you up every single time, because one day you're going to become as great as you're destined to be. And he never became a pro, but that guy's pretty successful right now. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
I appreciate that, Coach. So much knowledge. Thank you
No
so
doubt.
much.
All right, Wido.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Yeah, Coach, man, you've been gracious as hell, man. I know you got to go in there and get those kids locked down to go be a Minuteman, man. It was crazy. What's your expectations, man? I know we as coaches always have the highest expectation. How's recruiting going, man? Without giving away any hidden gems or anything, when do you guys start to get after it and everything? When's your roster solidified? I know you got to be getting close because I know you guys start up pretty dang soon. It's a year-round job, as not everyone knows, as far as recruiting and everything. But how you're optimistic right now? Is UMass are they all behind you and giving you the autonomy to build a place like you know how to do?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic, man. By the way, I grew up playing your sport. And, there's nothing better in September than watching dudes smash each other. But eventually I got to get into basketball mode here. And no, I'm ecstatic. I spent the last 18 years of my coaching career chasing Kansas and Kentucky. Those are the two schools that I've been chasing for the last 18 years. And I've been fortunate. I've been on teams that beat both of those teams. I've been on teams that went to an Elite Eight. Another team went to a Final Four. Mm-hmm. I did not, when the days of South Carolina came to an end, I did not want to coach at a school just to say I still coach.
You muted out on us. We can't hear you. No. You're muted on us. Can you hear me? You might have muted out. He'll call back. He's been on for quite a while with this man, an hour. So I appreciate him doing this. He's out in the parking lot of a high school that he has to recruit a big time player. So hey, I've been there, done that. I know how it is, and I don't want to hold him up anymore. I appreciate him coming on. If he calls back, he calls back. If not, I'll text him later on, thanking him. Great coach, great human being, and he is what the kids need. I'm so glad that the administration allows him to still continue to coach guys like that. You know what I mean? Because they're not gonna let me. They're not gonna let me coach. But once you're in the fraternity, Sarah, you are in the fraternity. You know what I mean? And he is in the fraternity, so that's what. There's very, very far and few between guys that are in the fraternity. And I'm glad they allowed him back in it. And that's the great thing. I'm a chameleon, they call me, man. Yeah. I can go walk into any type of any home, any background, walk down any street in the country, in my opinion. And I think that real recognizes real. It's a new venture that we have. The Coach JV show with the fabulous Sara Blake.
I am ready to do some content.
Give it to you straight, no chaser.
Sara Blake.